Welcome into Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. I am Tom Downey, back as always with everything going on around the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we have videos for you guys all season and off season long. As a reminder, hit that big red button and subscribe if you haven't already. It's youtube.com/SteelersTV. First up, a little round of applause for Minkah Fitzpatrick, as he very much deserved. He was named AFC Defensive Player of the Week. You will not find many better games from an overall standpoint than what Minkah did in Week 1. 14 tackles, an INT. Didn't get credit for the pass breakup on the big hit that helped extend the game after the very questionable flag on Minkah that gave the Bengals a chance late. Blocked the kick that would have been the game-winning extra point. Minkah was a baller in that game. He has absolutely been worth the first-round pick Pittsburgh once gave up. Of all the big trades for players involving a first, Minkah's definitely been one of the better ones. He's also absolutely worth the contract the Steelers gave him this offseason. That's my guy. He's an absolute baller. Now, Jamar Chase didn't like Minkah Fitzpatrick very much. Here he is giving Minkah the double bird. Chase flipped the bird. Let's give him the thumb. Let's back up Minkah Fitzpatrick and do the nice way of, we'll pretend this is not the thumb and we'll pretend it's a different finger towards Jamar Chase because his team couldn't win. Like the video, back up Minkah Fitzpatrick, show him some love for an awesome Week 1 and a huge Steelers win. Top story today is from Rich Eisen. He says the Cowboys should go trade for Mason Rudolph right now. This is, of course, Steelers Talk. We'll focus on that side, and I think the Cowboys should go trade for Mason Rudolph if you're a Steelers person, because that makes sense, right? Wouldn't you love to, in the words of Rich Eisen, get an overpay offer for Mason Rudolph? That's the ideal outcome for Pittsburgh, because Mitchell Trubisky can be your lead guy right now, and then you let Kenny Pickett be your number 2. Here was Rich Eisen's argument. I will be honest with you, as opposed to lying to our faces. I would call up the Pittsburgh Steelers right now and overpay for Mason Rudolph. You want to put everything in the hands of Will Grier? And also the whole Cooper rush. Hey, man, he beat the Vikings. That was one game. And to Amari Cooper, who's not walking through that door. It's a good point by Rich. That Cowboys-Vikings game does not happen unless you end up in a situation where Cooper steps, like he carried that catch he made was absolutely incredible. I have very little faith in Cooper rush, to be quite honest. I don't think that's a very good situation. Now, Mason Rudolph, at the same time, is he that much better? Kind of feels like a bit of a question mark if we're being honest from that standpoint. But if the Cowboys come calling, again, I don't think they're going to, but if they come calling and make you a nice offer if you're Pittsburgh, say throw you a 4th or a 5th round pick, I'd do it. I'd say, yes, let's ride. Bring me Mason Rudolph for a draft pick. Like that's a good outcome for Pittsburgh. I don't think it's going to end up happening, but it'd be a nice outcome for Pittsburgh. So, Rich Eisen, that's a good outcome for Pittsburgh. I'm not sold Dallas wants to go that route. Now, I will say that I think Mason Rudolph is a better backup than Cooper Rush. I don't think it's big enough to change the Cowboys' outcomes, but maybe they feel differently. So pick a better backup QB for me in the comments section. MR for Mason Rudolph, CR for Cooper Rush. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Next up on Steelers Talk, some takeaways from Mike Tomlin's press conference following Week 1. We'll maybe mention we'll give a Jaylen Warren shout out later on, I promise you, because that was an all-time line from Mike. Beginning, though, with TJ Watt, latest on this such, and is TJ Watt going to go on IR? Mike wasn't answering it one way or the other. I'll get the actual answer for you in a second. But Tomlin said, quote, "We've got time to make decisions such as that. Our decisions that have to be made by the end of the week relative to this game being encountered, and so we've got time there. We're not in a hurry to gather information too quickly. We'll see how his body responds. We'll get second and third opinions at the end of the week, or at some point, we'll do what's appropriate." Overall, it was really positive news for TJ Watt and for the Steelers, looking at 6-ish weeks. Now, remember the IR rules. 4 weeks minimum, you got to be out. Then you can open up a little activation window, etc., and get some practice reps and whatnot and come back. I would be stunned if Pittsburgh didn't put TJ Watt on injured reserve. Because if you're going to miss 4 or 5 weeks minimum, then go on IR. After the 4 weeks, then you can make your return or start to make your return. So we'll put you in the hands and the shoes of a doctor. You can play doctor. Not like that, Jeremy. How many weeks will TJ Watt sit out? I'm thinking it's around the 6 mark, but let me know in the comments section. Today's show is made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Steelers125 will give you a 125% deposit bonus when you put down at least $100. The Steelers are a 1-point underdog against the Patriots. That under intrigues me quite a bit because I watched both offenses closely. Thanks, NFL Plus, for the All-22 finally coming out. I don't think either offense is all that great. And the Patriots seem to be really disjointed. Like, they played terribly. They were awful against Miami. Pittsburgh can absolutely win this game. I don't mind a little moneyline bet on them either, just to win outright. You can bet on Pittsburgh at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is Steelers125. More edge rushing conversation here. How about Alex Highsmith? Talk about that Steelers-Bengals game. Man, he took Jonah Williams out to the woodshed and whipped him something fierce. 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, a bunch of hurries. He looked awesome. Mike Tomlin was not surprised. I don't know that any of us are shocked by the performance. As a matter of fact, I think most of us expect it to continue. You're not going to get 3 sacks each and every week, but he's a good player, and he's a man to be reckoned with for sure. I had been on the Alex Highsmith extra breakout season. He was a lot better last year. He's going to get a big focal point for that Patriots offensive line with no TJ Watt. It's different being the number 1 edge versus the number 2 edge. Now, of course, he's the number 1. He'll probably get some more chips that were going, double teams that were going to TJ Watt, but he's a good football player. He's a dynamic edge rusher. I don't think he's going to get 3 sacks again this week, although if Mac Jones is a statue and the play calling's bad, maybe. But I think Highsmith is on a path towards a massive breakout year, which, great start for him. Let's move now to Jaylen Warren, everyone's favorite undrafted free agent this year. Only had 3 carries for 7 yards as the Steelers' ground game continues to not be very good, but he was highly effective in pass protection from what I saw, and Mike Tomlin offered him some praise. An all-time quote from Mike Tomlin here, my friends. He didn't urinate down his leg. And that's a good place to begin. That's capable of happening for a young guy, but I think that's been indicative of him throughout this process. That's why he's gone from being an undrafted guy to a guy who's carving out a role for himself. Because at no step in team development did he show that circumstances were too big for him. He was competitive, and he's being competitive. He was on Sunday, so good for him and good for us. Look, I think there's nothing but praise for Jaylen Warren. Well, he's ahead of Benny Snell, etc. Like, he is this team's number 2 back. First up, he didn't urinate down his leg is a classic Tomlin quote. I love it and also is accurate. We've seen it before. The young guy out there, first reps, and you're deer in the headlights. A little bit of leakage down there. It's a bit of a concern. Wasn't the case for Jaylen Warren. I also thought he was impressive in pass blocking. He was willing, and that's part of the step, right? If you know there's a lot going on in pass protection, especially when blitzes are coming, do you know where to go? If they're showing double-A gap pressure, but they're coming off the left side, you got to be able to adjust that quickly. It's tough on rookie backs, and oftentimes it's your quarterback saying, no, go here, go there. So there's a lot of intra-connectivity from that standpoint. But when you're stepping up and you're meeting a pass rusher, look, Jaylen Warren did it. And for an undersized back, that's really all you can ask for. And it carries value if on third downs you want to give Najee Harris a breather. He's going to play this week. Najee Harris is. That's what he said, what Pittsburgh's basically said. But you might kind of try to reduce it from that, 80% workload from a snap perspective to maybe you bring it back down to like 65, which is still among the NFL's leaders, but Najee Harris has such a massive workload. You would like it if Warren could be a competent RB2 to at least reduce the overall strain that's going to be on Najee Harris's body. Already got banged up in week 1, was banged up in the preseason. I'd be a little bit cautious there if I were Pittsburgh. Hopefully Warren can handle even a bigger workload and snap count in week 2. Now, that is the end of today's video. If you made it to the end, do me a favor. Type in "Here we go" in the comment section.